Okay, so good day, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, really. I think it's a lovely conference and participated in it last year, so I was eager to come here again. My talk today is going to be quite brief. I also have a panel after that, the last panel that I'm going to be also moderating, so we can discuss things more in depth here. So today I have, for my presentation, 10 minutes. I want to talk about basically what is the name of my presentation, so which is sharing economy is great, and the second thing is let's not overregulate it. So these are basically two things I want to stress today, and I have 10 minutes to do that, so I'm going to be quite brief in that. So first of all, when we talk about something, we have to define what it is. And so I want to define and provide our working definition for us today so we can carry on with a thing. What is the object that we're talking about? What is the object that we are all so much excited today here? So first of all, we have to understand that what is sharing economy? Sharing economy is any marketplace that uses the internet or IT technologies to bring together distributed networks of individuals. So this is important to share or exchange otherwise underutilized assets. So this is the most useful definition that I have found in the scientific literature, and I think it's quite useful because it tells what is the content, basically, of shared economy. That is, first of all, there is a market. The second of all, that it connects distributed networks of individuals through IT and other platforms, which is the second most important thing about it. And the third most important thing is that it allows us to exchange other underutilized assets. For me, as an economist, this is really crucial part, underutilized assets. I'm going to be elaborating on that in just a moment. Of course, we all know that sectors are growing, and the sectors in which shared economy is right now most prevalent is transportation, hospitality, dining, goods, finance, personal services. So I claim today that, of course, sharing economy is great. And I think there are 6 very wonderful and great reasons why shared economy is wonderful, and that's why this trend is a really exciting trend. First of all, it is because shared economy allows underutilized assets to be put in more productive uses. We all know of many examples where shared economy allowed us to bring into utilization and bring to useful uses these things which were underutilized. I mean, we all have things that we are able to put in use just because we right now have some platforms where we can share things and we can provide services to other people. So this is wonderful because what it really means, it means efficiency in the economy. Because in the economic science, the most important problem that we have to solve is the problem of scarcity. There is overall scarcity all around us. The main task that economy basically solves is how to put scarce resources into uses that are most efficient. So sharing economy really helps us to put these scarce resources into uses that are more and more useful, and that more and more people can use the same underutilized assets right now. So I think this is really a step towards progress in alleviating scarcity, basically, in the economy. Second thing is that it brings together multiple buyers and sellers, makes markets more competitive. Right now, people that are we could say small people, I mean a person who has a flat and he can rent that through sharing economy, or a person who's basically has a car, they are also market participants. We are all, through sharing economy, can become somewhat of a businessman. And this is really exciting trend because a person who has a flat is now somewhat competing with a hotel. And this is a very new trend which is exciting because it creates a lot more competition in the market, and as we all know, more competition basically means better services for customers. The third thing is it cuts transaction costs. Transaction costs is something in economics that is really a problem. It is called sometimes a market failure because a lot of transactions cannot happen just because of the transaction costs. And sharing economy platforms, IT platforms, really minimizes this problem, or at least solves it to a very big degree. So it cuts the cost of finding traders, cuts the cost of haggling over terms when you find a trader. Also, it helps us to monitor performance of sellers and of buyers in these platforms. So this is really a very important problem, economic problem, sharing economy solves. The fourth reason is that it diminishes the problem of asymmetric information. A lot of trades cannot happen in the economy because we just do not know enough about the other party that we want to trade with. And sharing economy, of course, solves this problem through aggregation of the reviews of the past consumers and producers. And through that, it makes market flourish and makes market more competitive. So asymmetric information problems is also alleviated through sharing economy IT platforms. The fifth reason is that it creates opportunities to generate income from sources that were historically available only for a select few. If you wanted to be in the hospitality business some time ago, you had to have a capital to build a hotel. Or if you wanted to provide financial services, you had to have a lot of capital to create a bank or some kind of financial institution. Right now, I can log into the platform, and if I have 10 euros which I can spare, I can lend it to someone. It's already the barrier of entry into the sharing economy is really low. So that's really amazing thing when we think about what sharing economy allows. It allows us, for each of us, to become a participant in the markets where we're not available for us just, 5 years ago. So this is really exciting. And the last thing, which is going to be a transition to the second part of my presentation, is that I think sharing economy is great right now because it allows to offer valuable services that are not yet overregulated. So I think one of the great things why sharing economy is flourishing and is growing very quickly is that to some degree it is not still a subject to the same degree of overregulation in some sectoring, for example, like taxi licenses or something like that, because it allows to perform where regulation is still not high, and therefore to offer better services, better quality, and lower costs. And so I think this is the sixth reason why it can really show that sharing economy really show that we can give customer a lot better, and a lot cheaper service. So I think this is exciting. And what is the sum of that? What is the result of that? I think it's very exciting because it basically means there is more innovation, more choices for customers, more service differentiation because there's more innovation, better prices, and higher quality services. So I think this is a crucial thing when we think what is the idea behind and what is the result of this exciting trend. I think this is the result, and which is, for me as an economist, is something which makes me really happy and smile. So those people who think that sharing economy is a threat, I think they're missing the point. First of all, it's a big opportunity that we have to take care of, that we have to make flourish, but it's not a threat in itself. Well, there are some problems we have to solve, but first of all, it's a huge opportunity for economy to be efficient and the customers to be happier with better and cheaper services. Now, when it comes to the second part of my presentation, I think really when we think about sharing economy in next 5, 15, 20 years or whatever, I think what somewhat fate of the sharing economy is going to be dependent on how we are going to see the regulation of sharing economy. I think this is the question that we really need to very deeply think about and talk about, and I'm going to give my own view on that. I think when we think about regulation of sharing economy services, there are two ways to think about it. There is first view, which basically says that the most important thing about regulation in this sector is the equality of regulation between new business, that means sharing economy business, and old business models. So basically, this view would say that sharing economy has to be regulated to create level playing field with traditional economy, and that only or mostly regulation can provide security for customers. So this is one idea or one platform how we can think about regulation of these new services. The other idea would be that what is more important is not the quality of regulation, but basically freedom for companies to provide services that people really want. And how people respond to the sharing economy services, we do really see that people want these services. So this point of view would say that existence of services that people want is a lot more important than the quality of regulation. That also it says that sharing economy cannot just be squeezed into the outdated rules that are current and that are regulating all business models. There is something new going on. We just cannot apply the same type of regulations to something which is completely new and which is different in its nature. Also, competing companies and choice can also provide security for customers And security for customers is not only, can be provided not only through regulation. So this point of view, I think the second one is also very important to think about. And I think the fate of sharing economy services is going to be dependent on which point of view is going to be exaggerated and put into practice. The second point of view also says and asks very important question, which I want to dwell upon, which is when we think about this level playing field, when we talk about equal regulation to all the businesses, old and new businesses, this is really important question to ask: which level of playing field? What are we talking about? And that I want to show you through a very small and quite kind of simple example. If we think about the level of regulation, so y-axis, let's be a level of regulation, which is this paper. And x-axis would be, first of all, the old business models that basically is not shared economy, and next to it is shared economy businesses. So when we think about that, of course, we all know that some sectors, for example, financial sector or hotel sector, they are regulated quite heavily. There are different rules of regulation and regulations which mainly try to focus on customer protection. So that would be licensing requirements, price control, service area restrictions, marketing limitations, technology standards, and all these kind of regulations. And we know that the current state of regulation is really the one which is quite high. Right now, what we have in sharing economy services, we have a state of affairs which basically said that shared economy activities are not yet that much regulated because regulators have not very deeply looked into the sector in most of the countries of the world. So therefore, shared economy activities can really perform with a less amount of regulation. They're still regulated. They have to, they have to apply civil code and all these kind of contract law and all these kind of things, but they do not yet have, in many countries, very specific regulations. So, and this is actually the reason, one of the reasons why they are attractive to customers, because they are able to provide services in cheaper prices. The problem is that right now, what is happening in very many countries, regulators or old companies are basically saying that this is something not okay with this. This is not a level playing field. We have to create it. And they say we have to create a level playing field by putting the same amounts and the same kind of regulations on shared economy. And this is basically what is in many cases happening. And this trend is somewhat understandable in a way because we want to create fairness and level playing field, but at the same time we have to understand that not all this want to regulate shared economy is really only because of the customer security. In some cases there are just all types of companies and old companies trying to create themselves a regulatory capture when they want to keep new services or new companies from entering the market. And I think this is sometimes which is a very threatening thing which is happening. Through regulation, they try to keep other competitors out of the market. But what I want for us to think about is, I want to think about that maybe this is the wrong way we are thinking about regulation. Maybe the level playing field should not be created by regulating up sharing economy services, but really maybe sharing economy activities are a way or the opportunity to think about whether all the regulation models are really wise ones. Maybe we should create a level playing field by seeing that the level playing field should be deregulation of these old models of all businesses that were in place for many years. And this is the idea that I want for us to really think about. Maybe trying to micromanage sharing economy activities or plan in advance for every hypothetical risk of sharing economy activities is not the way to go, because it will basically damage competition, innovation, and customer protection will not necessarily go up, because we have to understand that very important piece of customer protection is the existence of the service itself. Sometimes we have this idea, if we regulate the service, we are going to have a customer who's very secure. But if the service is not there anymore because of the regulation, well, the customer is still secure because, in a way, the service is not available. But we have to understand that, first of all, the important part of security of the customer is the existence of the service itself. So in a way, we have to really understand that some parts of the regulation, maybe we should have rethink them. Maybe we should abandon them altogether, not put them on the sharing economy activities. I think that we have to ponder maybe markets, competition, reputational systems in sharing economy is really kind of successful in reputational systems. Innovation can solve problems of customer security. And that may happen because of two very brief reasons. First of all, if there are some market imperfections, if there are customers that are not happy, there is always a profit opportunity. And if we allow competition to come in, this profit opportunity is going to be grasped. The other second, why we can think about market and competition, how we can secure customers, is that regulation basically undermines competition, and it locks inefficient business models. And this is the reason why regulation is not the only answer in customer protection. The last thing I want to talk about today is basically the last question is, when we talk about level playing field, what does equal regulation really mean? Because we have to understand that formally, if we apply the same rules and regulations for all business models and for shared economy, that would not necessarily mean that regulation is going to be equal in real terms. What do I mean by that? I think it can be captured through this to this small cartoon, which I like a lot. I mean, the same rules and regulations do not make sense in all different business models. For example, maybe in financing platforms, we should not have a requirement that financing platform, when it is only an intermediary, should, judge the risk aversion or risk aversion of the customer of this platform. Maybe this is not the thing that the platform should do. Or, for example, in hospitality business, maybe the same hygienic regulations is not the way to go when we talk about hotels and when we talk about just a room you want to rent. So it is not very wise to think that we need just to equal the level of regulation and then we would create fairness, because I don't think this would be fairness, because in a way we're going to damage the competition in sharing economy services, and we're going to rob a customer of cheaper and better services. So I think this is very important to think about, and I think very relevant citation here is of President of Estonia, who said we should reconceptualize law as the operating system of society. When we are sometimes trying to put sharing economy activities at the same regulation, I think we are kind of trying to run Skype on Microsoft DOS. So this is something which we really have to think about. So for conclusions, I think sharing economy is great. I see great opportunities as an economist why it is a trend of the future. It enables things that traditional business models couldn't and still can't. Maybe they will adapt, and maybe sharing economy activities is going to be an opportunity for them to also rethink about services that they're providing. And the thing, we have a choice. We can either see sharing economy as an opportunity and flourish by being front runners. This is also a case for Lithuania. We want to be a brave country and be brave not only in talking about how brave we are, but actually having businesses, having startups, I think is a great opportunity for Lithuania. Or we can see it as a threat, try to regulate it and lose by becoming, in a way, Luddites and hating new technologies. And the last thing, I think we really have to think about whether trying to squeeze sharing economy into outdated regulation is a wise thing to do. And I think it is not. It is rather sloppy. We need to think about leveling the playing field, not by regulating up, but maybe deregulating down. And this is one idea I would like us to finish my presentation with. Thank you very much.